Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to our Managed Success Deploys NetSuite Commandos. This is how to demystify your NetSuite to become your strategic information asset. So before we dive into the exciting world of NetSuite, let's quickly go over our house rules and webinar reminders to ensure that we'll have a smooth session overall. So please keep your microphones muted throughout the whole webinar and minimize the background noise. And if you have any questions, we'll have time for it later at the end of the session. And we encourage everybody to share your thoughts, ideas, experience, and yeah, we will be happy to answer them all later. So now let's get acquainted with Etter+Ramli. Etter+Ramli is an independent managed service provider to the client side of the NetSuite community. We are your success specialist, providing comprehensive solutions to the NetSuite client side worldwide. So our diverse language profile enables us to assist clients across the world. So from Europe to North America, Asia, Africa, Australia, name it. We are truly global. So today we have the privilege of having Todd Kimpton, the CEO and business process expert of Etter+Ramli. He has been helping a lot of companies, and he is a seasoned professional with a wealth of experience in implementing and optimizing NetSuite for numerous companies. He had successfully deployed NetSuite in 120 companies across 26 countries, and he has rescued dozens of clients and projects from stakeholder abandonment, ensuring that your NetSuite implementations or the customer's implementations stay on track. With over 10,000 contact project hours at all stages of the subscription, Todd has accumulated extensive knowledge and hands-on experience with NetSuite. So over his 20 years of experience, his work life has rotated around all sides of the NetSuite ecosystem, from NetSuite customer just like you, NetSuite professional services, and a client manager, and a NetSuite partner, a solution provider. So we call him the well-balanced man of NetSuite. He's the founder and CEO of Etter+Ramli, a NetSuite super administrator, technical solutions, and program director. So what more can you ask for? Thank you, Todd, for joining us today.
Thanks, Ria.
Sharing your incredible experience again and again. So now we have better understanding of Etter+Ramli and our esteemed speaker. Let's dive into today's agenda.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks, Ria.
Yes. So, Todd, again, thank you. And today we will be talking about NetSuite as your strategic information asset, or what we fondly call SIA. So can you please explain what this is all about, Todd?
Yeah, sure, Ria. NetSuite's almost always the integral part of a business system. And that really puts it at the heart of the strategic definition of what's important to the business. And of course, it's information. So strategic information is easy to get from NetSuite. The concept of it being an asset is a bit loose, because information is important and it's valuable, but assets also provide yield or returns back to asset holders as well. So I'm an accountant, Ria, we took that kind of literally, like, what is the return that customers get from this thing they call NetSuite, and what is the yield they get on their strategic information? So we coined this concept of it being the strategic information asset because as a business, we like to focus on turning that strategic information into a yield earning asset. That's what we do. We focused on putting clients on a pathway for success, and how do they yield from their investment, really.
Well, yeah, I can empathize that many clients have a gap between the vision that they brought in and why they really, brought NetSuite and realizing the value of it. So it just seems to be misleading. So can you elaborate more, Todd, about this realizing the value of their system, NetSuite?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, it sounds like a throwaway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like something anyone would say without necessarily, making it real. I get it, but let me put it into a bit more clear context. Let's say you if installed NetSuite and you pay Oracle $100 a year, 100,000, whatever that number is, right? It's different for everyone. The point of that exchange that you can't do, you cannot presuppose what Oracle will do, right? You can't. They will do what they want to do. The bit that you can do is modify and own your system. So, most customers understand that Oracle will change their pricing strategy, at least their discount strategy, year to year, and that will inflate the cost of running the system. So they can't do anything about that, really. What they can do is drive their internal productivity to get more from the same investment. And so if they stand still, the cost per transaction will go up. And if they invest in running the system better, more efficiently, etc., then they will start to lower that cost of transaction. So we term the cost per transaction as a really key strategic indicator of how productive the business is with the system on a year-to-year basis. So productivity gains don't just happen; they take effort. And as the business evolves, it's really easy for productivity gaps or hacks to start to be brought into the application. But they break down easily. People leave, knowledge transfers, things change, new products added, don't know how to do it, etc. So we really focus on that, Ria. We really focus on what the yield is that customers can get from that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, you've raised some very interesting points. I'm sure our customers can relate. But you see, everybody talks about productivity, but not so much about compliance. So what's the relationship?
It's a really good point, So within the concept of how to create productivity gains, there's a method to the process. You see, in order to do that, you've got to make sure that you've got all of your users are under control. They know what they're doing. They're stable. They're capable, etc. So that's a classic case of what we call triage. And within triage, we're just trying to make sure that everything works. Once you've got everybody working on the system, may not be so productive, but that then allows you to shift. As long as they're stable, that then allows you to shift your focus to automate. So the second mountain that needs to be climbed is to go through automation. And automation is really bringing into focus those areas of productivity that are leaked because of manual process or out of system processes. So once you've more or less been able to automate all of the processes that can be, you then run into the third stage, which is really about compliance. And compliance is maintaining good order in process and ensuring high quality in data. End of the day, it's an information system, and we don't just generate information for no good reason. We generate it for insight. And to do that, we have to have quality data that is well structured for us to yield the insights we need. So compliance really comes down to process compliance, making sure people go through the right gates at the right time, and data compliance, making sure that all the data is clean and accurate. Now, if you've got stable users and an automated environment, and a monitoring on process compliance and data compliance, you've now got all the tools in your kit bag to be able to business partner and provide real insights to the business about how they're using, growing, and adapting to the business. And we call that our success life cycle.
That is very nice, Todd. So I think our audience is really thinking about any case study, or can you share a customer success story?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the really when we got started with this sort of approach, one of the first customers that we got on was they ran an instance of NetSuite, had done for about 7 years. Nothing much had changed over the years. You know, they were doing their accounting and stuff, but they were doing a lot of stuff out of system. They're an international trade. They ship containers of product around the world for their customers. And every shipment that they do needed on average 6 documents. They did a packing slip, an invoice, a request to the bank for a letter of credit, a request to the shipping company for insurance coverage, some fumigation certificates, etc. So they needed to produce all of this information. And that was all done manually out of the system. And the thing that made it difficult is that every customer had a different set of insurers, bankers, shipping companies. Everybody was different. And so from one customer, they had to manage about 6 stakeholders for that order or for their orders. So you don't have to, I mean, it doesn't take long to figure out that basically every order, and they did about 100 orders a month, required a lot of manual paperwork. It took us a little while, but we started to get engaged and started to engineer how all those stakeholders fit together and what their different requirements were. Because sometimes the same bank wanted different information depending on the customer. Kind of crazy. Anyway, it took us a while. We pulled it together, and then restructuring their data, we were able to more or less allow them to build all the documents they need from their sales order. And so what typically took 4 hours per order now takes them 4 seconds. They press a button and the whole thing is produced. That's a real example of the productivity gain that completely transformed that business. The 2 people that were more or less paid full time to write documents for trade got repurposed in the business, and that bottleneck was, with all of the mistakes and the rework and all that stuff, evaporated. As soon as that sales order was approved, the products are generated, the documents are generated and sent to the customer's stakeholders automatically. So that's a real example of it. How's that? You want another one?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so a different customer, similar sort of story, but bigger business. He bought NetSuite about 10 years ago. Had a number of ideas about how the business should use the system, and over time they sort of evolved and grow. He tried using a couple of traditional NetSuite partners. He didn't like any of those; they didn't really work. Tried a couple of freelancers, but also didn't find the skill set to be all encompassing. So with real kind of it's not reluctance, but real kind of apathy almost, he said to me, "Yeah, sure, Todd, we'll give you a try, no problem." Because basically he tried everything else. If you go through three or four freelancers and a couple of partners, you've basically done what you need to. So we got engaged, and you know, in our deployment cycle, Ria, we talk about the first 90 days and then an ongoing obligation or ongoing retained success engagement. So we got to work pretty hard, understanding the business, understanding the configuration, asking questions, learning about stakeholders. And we started to chip away at some of those productivity gaps that were really blocking the business from succeeding. We progressively chipped away. And as we started to do that, we started, the client started to sort of change their perspective. Maybe you can do, maybe this is okay. We started to earn a little bit of trust, which is lovely, proving our capability and whatnot. And so we continued to chip away at it, and then obviously the business was growing, and that was part of the reason why the priority was placed on us. And then about a year into it, we'd been able to fix so many problems and put the business on such a good pathway, not yet complete, but on such a good pathway, that it gave him confidence, amongst other things, to be able to move from a CEO role to an executive chairman role, and within that, be able to instill professional management in the business that was capable of running. And so that transformation in how we adjusted NetSuite to be further down the path, we're probably in the compliance zone now with them, but moving into that zone just transformed his business. I mean, the business has doubled, and people, he's probably added about, only 2% more people. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear. And I think my key takeaway there, and well, together with the audience, is when the business leader challenges evaporate, as you say, that's life-changing. Huh? I mean, you're giving a lot of personal time to everybody. That's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's people always buy NetSuite for a mix of reasons. That's a throwaway, but for a mix of reasons, and it's typically led by the finance leadership, with a view on by the IT side. And within smaller businesses that are often owner led, there's typically a third priority in there, which is a system that really allows them to be the business owner that they want to be, which might be working from the beach house 3 days a week.
Yeah. So you mentioned a methodology. It seems to me that it is repeatable. So can you validate that? It seems applicable to all clients.
Yeah, Ria, that I've spent about 22 years working within the NetSuite community. And when I worked with NetSuite in Asia, I looked after an area of the business that's called client management. And that's effectively was the commando team that worked with the account managers to go and protect customers that were at risk. And it was a small team. We had, I think back then there was maybe 8 people around the world, maybe not even that many. And we spent a lot of time, a really enjoyable time actually, helping clients understand, how they can get more out of the system. And that really got me focused on what does success really mean as a business? How does it work? Like, what do you need to do? And so through that process, and then working with clients after that, I really started to get a clear view in my mind about what does success mean. And that allowed me then to put together a methodology on what's needed in order to unlock success for all customers in a methodical and predictable way. And so we call that managed success, and we apply it to all customers. And it's a good strategy. We break things down into time intervals. We prioritize objectives. We bind stakeholders with clear vision and purpose, and administrate what it means to have a system like that.
Yeah, and if the enterprises, the NetSuite users, well, in the world, are just relying on, they always call it a super ninja, which is composed of only one resource. I think this methodology is much more, making sense, because in NetSuite, what we know is you need executive leadership opinion. You have to have somebody who also knows how to integrate, to their whatever Salesforce or Celigo, and, functional consultants, and anytime, anywhere. That's a luxury, Todd. Kudos to you and the whole Etter+Ramli. The methodology managed success is something that really makes sense. And I think the customers listening to us right now will probably be calling you after the session and ask more about this, the wonderful, offering that you have for NetSuite clients. So very good, Todd.
We work hard to help our clients get what they need. But you touched on an interesting point, Ria. You touched on this concept of there being, a NetSuite ninja or a NetSuite guru, and it always brings a smile to my face, because the concept sounds nice, but the concept of one person being all things for NetSuite is not only like practically almost impossible. Okay, it raises a huge level of risk, because all knowledge then sits within one person's opinion. Now that person may have the trust of leadership and stakeholders, which is fine, but if that's not driven by a methodology, and there isn't governance around that methodology, then really the business is exposed to the cult of personality. And one person always brings the risk of one person. And if all this knowledge and all these bits are tied in this one person, then even in the short term, that can really raise a lot of issues. Our approach is a little bit different. We more or less apply the commando squad or the SWAT team to it, because within the business, it's really important for clients to know they have one person who they can talk with. That's essential. But they also need to have the ability to plan out leadership on an irregular basis. And they also need to engage with experts on different modules and different features from time to time, and to learn and understand how clients are actively applying it. And lastly, if they have any level of customization, which, let's face it, most do, then they need a way to manage the risk of script breakage, modifications, upgrades, and what have you. And so automatically, the person that is able to engage with the board and senior leadership, able to engage with coalface users, knowledgeable in all elements of the system, and also a programmer. It's a super admin, it's a superman, it's a superwoman, And so you have to, in order to get that skills mix, you have to have the ability to draw on a team that has a role to play rather than a person contributing individually. And that's what we do. So our managed success program lays out the skills required and the depth of involvement of those skills in order to maintain and achieve success within the customer account.
Yeah, and I think you also cover risk mitigation, which is very, very important to everybody. And I love that, Todd, because I've been talking to a lot of CFO, controllers. For example, in North America, they have to deal with maternity leaves, paternity leaves, and they just rely on one person or a super ninja. So yes, I think our audience would love to hear more about it, and arrange some discovery calls after this.
I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah. So I think right now, Todd, if we're done explaining our managed success, thank you so much. You've been very, very helpful. And I think I will open the floor to questions.
Happy to help. Let's ask away. Ask away.
Yeah. So guys, for those who wants to ask questions, you can actually type it in the chat box. and I will select, and I will tell to Todd. Or for those who wants an offline discussion, that is also good. We're leaving our email and our mobile numbers, so you can freely ask us.
Right, let's wrap it up then. So, some
All
great
right. So you can cut it off. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much for attending the Etter+Ramli webinar. See you again.
Thanks, Ria. It was really good to be here. Some great discussion on the comments. Look, you know, we take the business of NetSuite success really seriously, and we really enjoy it. And we're welcome to anyone who wants to have a chat. We're here to help. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Bye.